Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth online energy professionals roundtable. This year we are off to such a great start. We've already done 3 in 2022, so welcome and welcome all, and thank you for joining us today and this morning. We are delighted to have you join us. This roundtable is among the activities that are in the run-up to the World Energy Day conference that takes place in October. It has been happening in Kenya since 2016. And last year, we were at the Pearl of Africa in Kampala, Uganda. This year, we are heading down to Mombasa, Kenya. So thank you all for joining. Today's conversation is so relevant. And before I unpack the great conversation topic today and the speakers we have lined up, I would like to just have quick housekeeping rules. One is that we do love an engaging audience, but we also love order, and we would love to ask you that you kindly mute yourself and only unmute when called upon. We will be having question and answer pockets throughout the session. You'll be able to ask your questions. Feel free to use the raise hand gesture. Feel free to use the chat as well to post your comments, your questions. And maybe we can start with a little warm up by posting on the chat where you're joining us today, this morning. I'm currently in Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Liz Nyukuri, one of the energy engineers at Innovators, which is among the partners of this year's conference. So feel free to post on the chat where you're joining us from as we kick off today's online roundtable. Thank you so much for joining. Today's conversation is around the circular economy. Now, that is a word that has been around for a while, and today we have the right experts to unpack it for us and to tell us what exactly is this circular economy, and how does waste management tie into it. A brief background of the World Energy Day celebrations in Kenya, as we continue to post on the chat and as we continue to have more people join in. The World Energy Day is celebrated globally on the 22nd of October. And it has been celebrated since 2012. Within the region, in Kenya, it was started in celebration started in 2016. And the conference is in October. However, as the World Energy Day Foundation, we have a lot of other activities that happen in the run-up to that conference. We have roundtables and online chats like this. We have the Youth Innovation Challenge. Last year, we had a group all the way from Ghana take the top prize. We have the Energy Professional Awards, where outstanding professionals within the region and the continent are recognized. And one of the speakers today was actually a winner last year. And all these activities happen in the run-up to the World Energy Day conference, and we're very excited for you to join us today. I see people from Uganda and Kenya. Thank you for joining us. Carol from Thika Road. I wonder what country that is. So thank you for joining today. And just to talk about now the conversation for the day around circular economy and a concept to practice. How do we go about this? I would like to pick your brain on a poll on what exactly is your understanding of the circular economy. We have Emily, who is our tech master, and she will also our chat master. She's going to post the poll right now. Kindly, Emily, if you're able to post that our first poll as we kick off this roundtable. I think it's coming up. Oops, apologies. I think we're having a little technical issues on the poll, but I would love for you to also post on the chat what you think. What is your understanding of the circular economy? This is something that has been said and has really caught the attention over the previous years, and the understanding and what is our perception about it. Today, we are able to have speakers who are going to unpack that for us, right? And we have two people from different spectrum. We have from the organic waste management, and then we also have e-waste. How did you dispose your first phone, or how did you dispose your first laptop? Did you have a disposal center you went to? Did you just leave it, or were you like me, who my first phone was actually robbed off from me? So today we also discuss about e-waste, which is such an interesting topic to have. And right about now, I would like to introduce to you our first speaker. Okay, so Lynette is saying that there is a poll, she's able to see the poll. Maybe she can share that first poll before we get on to our first speaker. Yes. Do you think the terms circular economy and waste management are synonymous? Do you think they mean the same? Because I, for one, was quite confused about what's the role of waste management in circular economy. I see most of you are answering, lots of maybes as well. So let's keep on answering this poll. A little more. We might just have a runoff here. Lots of yes, a bit of no, maybes as well. About 60% of you have answered to the poll. Let's contribute and hear your opinions on this. Lots of people from Juja, Kenya. Thank you. Welcome and welcome. I think now we are ready to share the results. Okay, there we have it. There we have it. It's such a close shave between yes and no. We have 38% of you saying yes, 41% saying no, 22% saying maybe. I think this just shows how this topic is one that really needs awareness around, one that really needs people to be to have sessions like this to be able to understand it more. And we have the right speakers for this. We start off. So thank you all who participated in the poll. Thank you so much. I think we can now see. Apologies. Yes. So I think now we can move on to our first speaker. As I mentioned, we have a speaker among us who was an actual winner in the last Energy Professional Award ceremony. He won not one, but 2 awards. He won the Energy Innovator Award, and he also won the Energy Champion Award. His name is Brian Onyango, and he is a renewable energy consultant by profession and the founder and CEO of Usafi Green Energy Limited, and that manufactures clean cook stove as well as briquettes. He sits in the board of the United Briquettes Producers Association of Kenya. As the chair of communication, he holds a degree in renewable energy from Tom Mboya University and is a lead consultant with FAOKE as a biomass energy advisor and technical consultant. He is definitely the right person to talk to us about waste management and the circular economy from an organic point of view. Brian, if you're there, the floor is yours. There he is in the house. Thank you for joining us today, Brian.
Hello, everyone. I think I'm visible, but should I not be audible? Don't hesitate to inform me.
Absolutely. I believe you do have a presentation that we will be sharing on our end.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can introduce myself. My name is Brian Onyango, just as it has been mentioned by Ms. Liz, and I'm the founder and CEO of Usafi Green Energy Limited, whereby we do 3 areas of operations. Solar, the other one in Briquettes, and the other one. So my pleasure is to meet you, and I look forward to engaging, and we look forward to interacting and understanding the waste management in its entirety. and a pleasure to be part of the energy as also previous of the last year winner. I look forward to sharing with you more on our journey as energy also. Thank you. So yeah, so actually, just as I mentioned earlier, my name is Brian Onyango, the founder of Usafi Green Energy Limited. Next slide, please. Yeah, so basically, like I mentioned also earlier, we do manufacture clean cookstoves and clean briquettes, and also we supply solar kits. But today's main conversation is revolving around waste management, whereby we are tackling two products that we use as waste into clean energy, and those are the clean fuel called briquettes and the clean cookstoves called silver bora from our end. So I will begin with the briquettes because we are basically working in Turkana. We know this plant called madenge, or rather in English term, we call it Prosopis juliflora, that has evaded close to 24,000 hectares of land in northern Kenya, or we call it Asal region, and it's very dangerous. And the plant has you can see there, it looks like a very green, no any farming can go on. So what we normally do, or what we basically do since 2020, we do convert this particular product that I will share with you later. Another issue that you're trying to tackle here, as you can see, close to 68% of the population in Kenya, but 90% in Turkana still use three kind of mode of cooking. And it's very harmful in terms of the health complication. And as you can also witness in Turkana County, that is in Kenya, we do have a refugee camp called Kakuma camp that hosts close to 211,000 refugees that still use firewood as a source of fuel, because that's the only availability materials. And this firewood is again being fetched just from that invasive Prosopis. Yes, next slide, please. So basically, as we have witnessed, the problem that we have is to try to evade the invasive Prosopis into clean solution. And like I mentioned, we are using two main components from waste to clean energy. So in our first subsequent column is cookstove called Silver Bora. These are our own brand. We manufacture them. And basically, we have partnered with several construction site companies that construct road, and also that do what you call the engineering metal steel production. So we do take some of their waste products like drums and maybe containers that have come in, and we convert them into clean fuel, and we pre-test them at Kirby to check on the quality and how they can save the energy. Then after doing that, now we distribute them to the end users. Just also on the other column, we used that particular invasive Prosopis that has affected close to 24,000 hectares of land in northern Kenya, but we're just using like 2% of it because we are the only people trying to convert it, and we're encouraging more partners, of which we'll discuss later. So we use that particular invasive Prosopis, convert it into clean fuel called briquettes. These briquettes, I will share with you the importance and the impact of it later. Next slide, please. So basically, after all, we must have a marketing beachhead market, our area of target. Currently, we are in a population of 1.2 million. That is in Kakuma, or rather in Turkana County. The last census done was that the population of Turkana in its entirely is 900,000. additional with close to 200,000 refugees, giving us a total addressable market of 1.2, but the market share that we tend to capture is 600,000. And the available market where we are currently operating is in Kakuma, whereby we have close to 200,000 refugees, and also we have an external host community of 200,000 population. And our beachhead market currently is that we are currently commanding 65% of the market share where we are operating in Kakuma. And just to give you, or just to put you on loop, we are highly guided by UNHCR activity because we work with them. And some of their findings, as you can see, I've mentioned below there, is around 34% of age in that location is between 15 to 64, and only 14% have access to clean energy, and 3% have access to LPG, briquettes, and bioethanol. This is as per the document of the PCTEP report that was shared last year. And something interesting, 70% of them understand mathematics. So that can tell you the economic impacts that if we have more investment can show. And when it comes to gender ratio, we have 50-50% in Turkana where we are operating, with the male being a little bit dominant, but slightly high. Then also the refugee households and the host community households are somehow close to each other, a cumulative of close to 100,000 households. And this is our target now, because these are our people whom we want to give them access to clean cooking solutions. Yes, next slide, please. So basically, how do we start? I will share with you the journey. Just please proceed back, 2 more slides backwards. So I would like to take you a journey where how we do production of that cook stove, on how we produce it from waste to end product called cook stoves. Basically, we convert waste drums into clean energy called silver bora, and we have an output of 1,000 currently production per week, whereby in averagely a month we can do up to relatively 3,000 or 4,000 cook stoves. And number two is that we have empowered and we have created employment to 17 staff whom we are working very closely in Kakuma, out of which 7 are refugees and 10 are host communities. So we are also encouraging the integration. So once we have done the production of our cook stoves, we distribute them, as you can see, with the mode of motorbikes, because also the environment there, road is not that much well, and also the accessibility matters. So we have partnered with close to 200 vendors who distribute our briquettes and also distribute our cook stoves. And also we have our ladies who normally do what we call open air market, supermarkets, sales, and also door-to-door campaigns. And also we target women groups. So we try to create awareness in all those directions. Next slide, please. Yeah, maybe you have next slide. So when it comes to cook stoves, we have them 2 angles or 2 dimensions, whereby we produce both the domestic households and the larger cook stoves. And for social cook stoves, we targeting schools, because also schools play a very critical role when it comes to cooking, because as much as you're addressing the domestic household in terms of having them access the clean energy solution, also the social institutions also play a critical part, because they serve larger population. So in our case, in Turkana, we have a school that has a population up to 3,000 pupils or students. So we provide them with clean cooking kits. So how do we do our briquettes? As you can see over there, we first harvest them through partnership with UNHCR. We empower the community, cut the prosopis, then they bring them to our site. Then from there, we take them to the stage called crushing. Here, we just have to crush the stems into smaller, finer particles called maybe below 3 mm. Then we take them to a process called carbonization. So carbonization here is just to remove the excess CO2, as you can see on the other end of kiln section, is to remove the highly emission harmful precipitate. Then from there, we leave it to around 12 to 17 hours. Then we remove it entirely, then pour it down or cool it for like 2 hours because it's generally hot. Then from there, we do what we call sorting, just to make sure that we don't have foreign matters that can again contribute to maybe an unforeseen emissions. Then from that stage, now we add what we call the binding aspect. So here for our case, we use gum arabica, which is highly dominant raw materials in northern Kenya, and partly molasses. So we do mixing just to have the final part called the briquetting. Next slide, please. Maybe as the moderator proceeds to the next slide. So from the mixing, we have next slide, which entails the production itself. Now the machine handling the entire production process. Now from mixing to the end part, which is conversion of the cooled or the particles into briquettes. Then we do what we call the packaging into different sizes, whereby we have packaging as low as 5 kgs and as high as 50 kgs. And the reason for this is to have people who can afford it easily give their consent in terms of affordability. So I think even the social stove, as you can see there, just below, we have the Kakuma mixed primary. Initially, that's how their kitchen was before we came in, and that was an installation that was done in 2021. So we eliminated both 3-stone mode of cooking, and also we eliminated the firewood by converting them and giving them clean fuel. Also, this is another new achievement that we did last year, 2021. We eliminated as well still old way of cooking into new modern for both these two institutions. One, this Kakuma Mission Hospital in Turkana, and the other one is Kakuma Girls Primary School. Kakuma Girls Primary School hosts 1,000 pupils, and Kakuma Mission hosts patients of around 200 inpatient per day. So the need of clean energy solution here was very, very more important. So I would like to give you, next slide, please. I would like to give you some importance of briquettes. You might ask yourself, why should we convert the prosopis into briquettes, or why don't we give them directly? Basically, the reason why we have partnered with the UNHCR still on discussion, we want to provide clean solution. So what we do is that the briquettes comes with more benefit. If you can go to the next slide, I think 2 slides from this is what where I'm talking about the benefits of the briquettes. Is that number one, briquettes is tested. Our products are always tested. We do test at Kirdi and or maybe Nairobi University, and it lasts for 4 hours while burning. That's one of the advantage. And number 2, it has less smoke. And also we kind of encourage people to use it because it is affordable and also easy to carry and also easy to store. So basically, it's very easy and convenient, also pocket friendly. As low as 30 shillings, you can have it. And we're trying to eliminate the old way of cooking. So basically, just to end the summary of my briquette presentation and cook stoves, I think on the last slide, I wanted to touch base on how is it important or how is it related to the circular economy. We currently are in a United Briquettes Producers Association in Kenya, whereby we have partnered with other manufacturers, because at the end of the day, we are not alone. We have other players on the same industry. We have created close to extra more 100 employment, which has added some benefit to the economy. And also we have tried to reduce the waste management in Kenya in terms of pollution, the environment pollution. We have tried to reduce it close to 10% only for these players who are converting waste into clean energy, because pollution also is a very big challenge to Kenya. And also we have improved the health condition and also added some more economic balance to this particular segment, because as the more people get sick because of respiratory health, is the more maybe some of them miss going to job, schools, some of them miss going to schools. But the more healthy you have people or into the ground working, the more economy the company or the country grows. So there's a lot of more impact from converting the waste into clean energy solution, and that definitely has a very, very, very best economic upward trend in a given time or on a given time in a country. Just to give you a lighter note statistic, as you can see, briquettes that we have been trying to do since 2014 with other partners as well, and also the growing trend. You might note that biomass is still not that much well known. Yes, indeed, but we are trying also to create it or give it awareness to all partners, all stakeholders, or all government officials. And fertilizers take very huge step because there's a lot of investment, there's a lot of support from the government. So we are also trying to discuss with other stakeholders to come on board and support waste to energy partners who are trying to tackle this particular pollution menace going on. So I don't have much to say. Maybe we'll share more as we proceed with our discussion. And I think that's the main discussion that I would like you to get to understand how we do it as Usafi Energy on converting the waste into energy and using waste drums to produce the clean cookstoves called Silver Border. Yeah,
thank you so much, Brian. We do apologize for the lags that were there on the presentation, but we really do appreciate what you're doing with Usafi Green Energy. We can now really see, the audience can really see why you won the Energy Champion last year. And we also have to comment at how what you're doing is really tying down to the theme for the World Energy Day 2022, which is empowering energy independence in Africa, enabling rural and urban renewable energy access and affordability, which is exactly what you're doing. You are recycling waste drums into cookstoves. You are using prosposis. There's a plant there that we know locally, but you've given us the scientific name to it, into briquettes. So thank you so much for your presentation. To the audience, feel free to use the chat for any questions you have for Brian. And Brian, I'd like to ask you a question, just a follow-up on, you've talked about how only 3% of the people that you're trying to impact are using biomass. Maybe you can comment on the argument and the conversation that is firewood is biomass and therefore might be clean. As a briquette and biomass expert, what is your comment on firewood being considered a clean and biomass source of fuel?
Yeah, thank you, Liz, once again. No point can we say firewood is a biomass component, because it's not clean, because at the moment you light it, it's entirely smoky until the end you continue or you as much as you cook. And if you compare it with the clean fuel called the briquettes, the moment you light it and the moment you will end up finishing your cooking needs, you'll find that the emission rate between the two will have reduced, or rather one will give you more benefit unlike the other, because once you cannot use the firewood in your indoor housing, but for the clean fuel you can use. So simply what we're trying to do is either we recycle the waste by removing the harmful emission, because at the end of the day, the CO2 is what counts here, because we cannot say it's a clean cook stove, or rather it's a clean fuel, because what makes it clean is the removal of the CO2 emission, and firewood contribute close to 90% of the emission, but the briquettes relatively contribute, of course, 7% of the emission. It's not okay, it's not honestly 100%, but 70% is something that still can be addressable. We're still becoming with more innovative kind of aspect to see on how we can put it completely zero.
Thank you so much, Brian, the expert on biomass and clean biomass fuels, on that comment. And a final question to you from me before I check on the chat is, you've mentioned about that you do tests your briquettes at KEBS. Would you enlighten the audience on any available standards or quality standards that are there for briquettes? Assuming, my assumption here is that they are innovative product, they're new in the market. Are there regulatory standards around them? And could you enlighten us on them?
Yes, thank you once again. Actually, there are close to 5 aspects when determining this particular test. We have 3 verified or approved test places: Kirdi, Nairobi University, and KEBS, whereby all players, we are under umbrella called United Briquette Producers Association, whereby all our briquettes produced, we must verify them through test. And what do we check on this test? Number 1, we check what we call calorific value. Calorific value is the strength or the heat content, at what rate does your briquettes burn. So when I say it burns up to 4 hours, this calorific value test determines that. Then number 2 is the ash content. What's the quantity of your ash? Because firewood has a lot of ash or these other dirty fuels. So ash content also matters on this test. We have foreign matters. You must make sure that your product is very clean or doesn't have some added foreign matters. Also, we have something called volatile matter. Volatile matter also is a different term. So when it comes, also contribute on the test. And lastly, now we have what we call now the weight and the density of your product, because the lightness or the density also contribute on the duration of or how you cook. So there's a lot of close to 5 to 7 aspects whereby the authority do test our products and give us approval on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. We do have a question for you on the chat from Zainab. The question is, do the social institutional cook stove use briquettes? If yes, what is the cost implication to institutions compared to the use of firewood?
Thank you a lot. This is a very good question, and I think also this is a challenge, an encouragement to you to go and find us more people to convert them into clean fuel. For example, we have converted so many schools here in Nairobi also, the likes of Status Girls, Alliance Girls, Jamhuri Boys. They're using purely briquettes. And why are they using this? They have saved their cooking apparatus, both in terms of maintenance. Yeah, the cost of maintenance of their cooking apparatus have really reduced close to 50%, unlike using the firewood. Then number 2, firewood is not reliable and it's not consistent, because in an institution like school, if the firewood is rained on, the cooking will even delay the student from taking their meal. But for briquette, is fully stored in a cool, dry place, and also it contributes close to 70% of the saving against the firewood, because a ton of briquette relatively can cost you 20,000, let's say, and it can, in a population of less than 500, you can end up using it in a full term. Unlike firewood, a full truck, you can end up buying it close to 100,000. So the economic imbalance end up giving you or giving briquettes an upper hedge in terms of both economic and also both storage capacity and also maintenance of your cook stoves. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Lots of questions on the chat. We have a question on your comment on whether cocoa podcast can be used for briquetting and what are the challenges. And then we also have another question from Cynthia on how do you do compaction of your briquettes, and if briquettes technique to be, apologies, let me just repeat that question from Cynthia. So the first question was on your comment on cocoa podcasts and what challenges that could bring up when producing briquettes. Next is from Cynthia asking, how do you do your compaction of the briquettes? And if the technique to be adopted to eliminate firewood, how can it be made more affordable, since approximate and ultimate analysis is expensive? And also, what machines and additionally, the machines are expensive. I hope I've been able to articulate those questions. I've combined two questions on cocopods and a question on how you do your compaction and affordability in the rural space.
Yeah, I think maybe the first question is what I haven't understood. The cocoa what? That's the only term that I'm not.
Oh, yes. So there's a question on cocoa, or am I saying it wrong? Cocoa pod husks, and their potential in use for briquetting, and whether you have a comment on that.
Okay. So maybe that term is what I'm trying to understand. Maybe I'll catch up with it as we proceed. But just to answer the remaining question is that the component of the machine capability, yes, we're having a challenge of locally manufactured machine. We are also as well by Kenya Built Kenya. We have Briquettes machines in Kenya, and the compactability of these machines are density of close to 600 kilos produced by Briquettes. That make them the very strength, or giving them more strength once the briquettes are produced, or having the compactability of machines, unlike other imported ones, which are even more better than ours. So machines are a little bit challenged, and we are trying to encourage, and all the players who are on board, or all the players who are doing the briquetting, we have now formed a union called the Producers Association, whereby we sensitize, we provide sensitization. We try to provide awareness, because we know there's a lot of low support in terms of this sector, but we are still advocating through partnership with the CCAK, Clean Cooking Alliance Association, and other partners on board. And somebody have also asked what's the carbon, rather our calorific value of our briquettes. Our briquettes actually are 3,700 kc gel, calorific kilojoules, tested, and we aim to have it at 4,000, because the higher they go, the best they are. And having briquettes that are having below 2,700 calorific value, that shows you there's a little bit poor quality and more aspect needs to be done. So that's why there's a lot of tests normally requested to be done frequently. So I think those are the three questions, but the first one is still missing up from me. I've not understood it, so responding it a bit.
It's okay. Thank you for handling those questions. Feel free to also respond in the chat on the remaining questions. I think the question you responded on the CO2 has captured a few, and the CO2 and the calorific value has captured a few of the more other questions. I think one final question would be a question on how does briquette compare to biogas and LPG in terms of cost? Maybe you can answer that final question, and then feel free to follow up on the chat to respond to the other questions and the engagements.
Yeah, LPG is also a clean energy solution, which is very correct. And however, it's a little bit pricey. Like in my research that I've shared with you, close to 7% only access LPG. And now, as we know, the VAT implication on it also contributes to increasing of the price. The briquettes only contribute to close to 30 shillings per kilo. So you can moderate it, unlike other ordinary charcoal that we do, or people do buy it on 80 shillings per kilo. So the lower the price of the briquettes, the more affordability and the more accessibility people get it, because at the end of the day, it is a waste converted into energy. So you cannot have it more pricey, because it is a waste converted to energy, unlike LPG, which has undergone a lot of extraction process, which makes it even more pricey. And that's why now we have a different edge against them. But they are our competitor, but we are in the same industry providing clean energy solution. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian, for your comments and your answers to those questions. Lots of questions on the chat as well. I would kindly request, due to the availability of time, if you could kindly just go to the chat and respond to the questions that are coming up on the chat. Very, very grateful for your presentation. Also to the audience, we normally have a report after these roundtables. Feel free to check it out after the roundtable, where you'll be able to see all your concerns and responses captured in there. So allow me to now do a quick poll before my second speaker. There's a quick poll I'd like to get your comment on, and I'll currently record yes, there it is. Which of the following stakeholders do you feel has the biggest responsibility in promoting sustainable waste management? Is it the producers? Is it the consumers? Is it the policymakers? Kindly take a few seconds to respond to this poll as we prepare to introduce the second speaker to you. Yes, continue responding to the poll. Love to capture your thoughts on this. Also, the reports up of the round tables also capture the responses and the polls that happened during this presentation. So feel free to check out after this presentation once we share out on our socials, on everything about this roundtable. So about 60% of you have participated. Now let us continue to put our thoughts on this. Lots and lots of engagement on the chat. Thank you for that. Brian, I can see is already responding. I see more and more of you are responding to the poll we have just put up. We're just gonna give it a couple of seconds before we end the poll and share the results. Okay, now close to 80% have participated in the poll. Okay. I think now we are ready to share the results of this poll. There we have it. So it's the largest share of you believe that policymakers should bear the highest responsibility in promoting sustainable waste management. Next is the producers at 33%, consumers at 27%. Thank you so much for participating in this poll. Thank you so much. It's interesting that most of us thought that the policymakers should be involved, should have the highest responsibility to catalyze and kickstart and really promote sustainable waste management. And for now, I would like to introduce you to my second speaker. She is in such an interesting space where she is focused with safe and sustainable waste management of e-waste. Think electrical waste, think electronic waste. Her name is Miss Simone Anderson. She's the Chief Commercial Officer for Waste, Electrical and Electronic Equipment Center, a circularity and innovation hub dedicated to creating awareness, collect and process e-waste. She has a career that spans over 15 years, decorated with roles in research. She is originally from Sweden and also has a huge background being involved in waste management and e-waste management in Sweden as well. She is currently based in Kenya and she is in the house. I cannot wait to hear what she has to comment on e-waste. Welcome, Simone. I see you in the house.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you so much for joining.
And also thank you, Brian, for a great presentation and the crowd for all the very intricate and initiated questions. I'm sort of dreading what kind of questions I'm going to get. No, it's really exciting with people who are engaged. Good and great. So thanks for having me here. And on the topics of circular economy, which I think is the answer to a lot of our problems. As you know, it's funny enough, WED for me would be World Environment Day, which is next week, Sunday, but now it's World Energy Day today. So it goes hand in hand, right? I also appreciate questions, of course, and if it's questions I can't answer today due to lack of knowledge or that I need to through Emily, depending on how we do it, or if we, in lack of time, don't have time to answer everything. So now I hope my internet will work out. Can you hear me, Liz? still?
Yes, 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 we can loud and clearly. We are so eager to see what you have to present for us.
And let me know if it fluctuates too much. I'll try to use my phone instead.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
don't
I'll let you know.
All right, so I have a presentation where I start with introducing We Center and what we do and who we are, and then I'll go further into circular economy. I hope that's a good way of doing it. And bear with me, but of course, start asking questions in the chat, just like you've been doing previously. Let me know now if I go in presentation mode, how that works. If I share, sometimes it doesn't really respond the way you want to.
Yes, I'll let you know once it comes up on our screen.
Yeah, I start with doing like this.
Yes, it's coming up.
And then if I choose presentation mode.
Yes.
Did it change to presentation mode?
Yes, yes, it has.
And I tried
the
to.
first slide.
Is it changing slide?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Then
Yes,
we're good.
Good to go. Yes.
Lovely. So yeah, my name is Simon Andersson, and thank you for the introduction. I'm Swedish. I'm thrilled and happy to be in Kenya. And talking about Sweden and World Environment Day, many of you might know that we have something called Stockholm Plus 50 coming up next week, since it is 50 years ago in 1972 in Stockholm that United Nations decided to start focusing on environment together. And 1974 was the first year for the World Environment Day to start, which I'm double proud of. I'm born 1974 also, so but of course it was due to the degradation of environment. So I wish we didn't have to have a World Environment Day. That would be great. So anyway, it's my passion also to see that we have a world to continue living in. I have 4 kids and 4 grandchildren so far. So I think it's my obligation and responsibility to take care of this. I am very much against people who say that we should rely on our children who are the future. I think we should fix this so that our children can just enjoy, right? So I'm here and I'm determined to be part of solutions, which led me to Kenya and e-waste recycling in a Kenyan company that I encountered 5 years ago when I was here in a Swedish project of urban development as a waste expert. So We Center was then the only actor within e-waste management that I could find. Nowadays, we have a few more here in this country, none as large as us though. So We Center, what are we doing? We are a social enterprise which steers our values and our mission, and we want to secure a green and safe environment, which leads us to take care of all kinds of electronics. It all started out with already in 2002, the founder of Computer for Schools Kenya saw the digital gap and decided to try to bridge it. After a few years, he realized that there was a lot of computers becoming obsolete or broken out in the schools, so a take-back scheme was started. Education was done, how to recycle in a safe manner, and eventually bigger corporates here in Nairobi and also the government said, why don't you open up and start an entity to be able to offer e-waste recycling for more, which was done in 2012 formally then. So we've been around for 10 years and celebrate 10 years anniversary for We Center this year. And what do I mean when I say all electronics? Well, everything that has a cord or a battery or is dependent on any kind of electricity to run, we accept, even medical equipment, etc., etc. This imposes a bit of business challenges because so far there aren't really very circular solutions for all types of electronics. But we are, like I said, determined to be part of solutions. So I'm going to tell you more about that later. Why is it important to take care of electronics in a safe manner? And what is the potential and the risks? Well, it is said that more than 50,000 tons of e-waste is produced solely in Kenya per year. Whether that estimated number is correct or if it's even just half, which would be 25,000 tons, it's still staggering amounts, right? And formally, there is only 1% so far taken care of. So we want to be part of increasing that percentage and reach the e-waste in Kenya and beyond. We just opened up in Uganda and Tanzania also. Otherwise, what happens if it goes to a very informal market? Unfortunately, the people working with it very seldom have personal protection. So they touch all the components, which many times it's a lot of heavy metals and other chemical substances that goes into the bodies, or the dust ends up in their clothes, which they bring home for cleaning. So it also affects the women and the children around. And then, as you can see, many times it's also you burn to, for instance, the cables to get the copper inside, and then you get problems with the fumes from the PVC. Here are some other horror images of such. That is burning motherboards to get a hold of a few of the precious metals, but as you can also understand, you don't get as accurate and high retention of those material values when you do it like that. So the injuries on the body is usually the endocrine and nervous system, and also the lungs, of course. And a lot of these substances are also cancerogens. So where are those substances? I'm not going to count it all up, but sometimes I have people saying, but could it really be that dangerous? And where do I find all these different things? Well, that's why these electronics are so amazing, because they just do magic things, right? They send us signals and do all this kinds. And that is thanks to all these different metals and other substances in them. We have some less hazardous that are also somewhat easier to recycle, which is good and great. But we need to really think through how we do this in a bigger scale, which is being done all over the world. It's not just Kenya and Africa having troubles with electronics and the circularity of them. But our solutions so far is to have collection. We take it in, we do inventory, we see what kind of components, what kind of items that might be possible to reuse or refurbish, repair. And we do some remanufacturing together with partners. And then we also dismantle and take the different materials for material recycling. We do a lot of projects on awareness creation, development and trainings together with partners of different kind. And we also perform data destruction services. So this is basically the one in the middle for you guys in Kenya and Nairobi. That's Ekandi Eco Shop in Roslyn, Kigiri, where we have drop-off points. So during the years, we're really proud of all the trainings and the courses that we've had in hardware and also knowledge empowering that has enabled a lot of individuals to start their own small businesses in repairs, like on computers and phones. But we've also recycled quite a lot, which of course saves on carbon dioxide. And we're also nowadays ISO certified. we see that a lot of people are happy when we come because we help them reclaim their space, offices and drawers filled with small electronics and big electronics. And we also support sustainability compliance, since we give them certificates and we do things in a safe manner for people and planet. We do some e-waste art sometimes and jewelry. The big image to the right, which is a type of reuse. Of course, it's not the biggest line of how we use the items, but it's a good talk piece, and it could be even bigger, but it's mainly more a decorative aspect. Yeah, the certificates and specific list of everything you've been disposing. And then, like I said, we do a lot of awareness creation in big and small variations. Very popular is the e-waste drive. So if any one of you are staying in an estate or court or in an area, do call us and book us so we can come on a specific day and time, and people can just walk out to the vehicle and leave their e-waste straight away. We also do online training with staffs and different groups. So please contact us if you would like to have. And we have a lot of partners. We're very grateful and humbled by their, well, some of them have been with us for 10 years, the whole time, and some are newer. And we do different awareness creation also with them, which is great. Next week or the week after, we will launch with Total Energies to have more collection points, starting with a pilot of 2 here in Nairobi, and hopefully it will go well so that we can have more. We also educate and have digitrucks. So they are solar powered with internet, so that we can go to the rurals where there is no computer labs. This has been a success, and let us know if you need them or if you have a company that wants to collaborate. We have an association all over Africa that we initiated many years back, which is great, so that we can leverage and advocate for these issues together to hit the targets. We are almost on all 17 targets, which I'm happy about. So that was my introduction, and I can't see the chat right now, so I need to see if I have some questions already here or no. Okay. No, good. Close that. Yes, like we've been talking about, the future is circular, right? Brian told you about the briquettes and the opportunities of that type of waste to be utilized. We also see that we don't want it to become electronic waste immediately. We really do want to participate and start with the design to be able to tell the designers what comes into us and how could possibly someone who manufactures something make it better so that it will be more durable and keep in the loop for a longer time. One partner like that is Bright Products. They make solar lanterns. It's a Norwegian company who explicitly told us, we really want to know if you see any design possibilities that we can alternate and change so that it becomes also easier to repair them, to open it up and take out parts and refurbish and repair. So that is a great partnership and potential. And then, of course, we all need to reduce and reuse. And then when it comes to us, when we collect, the collection cycle, I see also has so much potential in becoming better. It's basically that we drop things so they risk breaking, which of course doesn't help in the next step if we want to be able to reuse or refurbish something, right? So the whole waste management needs to be changed in general in the world, so that the collection, the logistics is more careful about the items that are being collected and disposed. And also, like I heard Brian mention, you also need to eliminate the hazardous content in products, right? So that whatever we do afterwards with them won't be a hazard to people or planet. Usually it's both. If it's one, it's usually both. So that is also something that we look at, for instance, in plastics, which will come more later. Some of the plastics are flame retardants which makes it more problematic to recycle. Just to take us to the basics, since the first poll that you did was, do you think circular economy equals waste management, right, Liz? And almost half thought it was, which I would like to say that no, we would rather call it resource management all over, and material retention and items to be intact instead of going into becoming a waste, right? And this is a classic image from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, where the green to the left is the biological cycles. And when it comes to circularity, and why I said that that is the future, I mean, that's where we come from. Everything on this earth is actually made to complement each other and just go around in circles. But we've forgotten that the last 200 years or so. And that is also why waste is not actually something we have in our mind. That's why we see people drop things and not wanting to think about where they go. Because in our, we've been human beings for 200,000 years, right? And there has never been anything as waste. It has just been another resource that will eventually break down and become part of our soil and earth again, right? But now the last 150, 200 years, we've started to make things that are composed of different substances that are not breaking down and that might be harmful for us. So that's why we have to teach and learn and relearn and motivate and incentivize, etc., to make people do things with their waste, like segregate and go and sort them in a station, etc., etc. Anyway, and the blue one is the technical cycles, where the electronics, of course, end up more, where you see that we want it to go back to the manufacturers, and we want what is up there, the renewable energy, mining, materials, manufacturing, the three circles up in the very upper. We want them to be as little as possible and so sustainable as possible. And then the loops to just go round and round and round. And in the end, we don't want a lot to go down to the energy recovery or the landfills, right? So that is what circular economy is all about, which means everything in our society, not just the waste management. It is everything from product design and taking care of it and having different business models, etc., 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 to keep these loops going. Some key principles within this is product maintenance and repair, product reuse, product refurbishment and remanufacturing, and then product recycling. So basically, we wanted to not go all the way down to recycling, but it doesn't have to be bad. But when we recycle, there is something called material retention value, which means we want, if we have an aluminum can, which theoretically could be recycled 100%, right? Still, we see that after 6 or 7 cycles, it will not be as much aluminum left. Somewhere in all these processes that we talked about, the collection and everything, it becomes degraded and less and less. So we need to get that material retention value as high up as possible for as long time as possible. So that is something that is being researched on around the globe also, how to do that. And then we need to also preserve this value, and the strategies for that would be both to extend the product value by doing durable manufacturing, durable products, and repairable, just like I said before. And then we have the different access and performance models, which means maybe I should rent my, not just my car, but I could actually rent my fridge. Or if I need a vacuum cleaner, maybe I should have that as a rental. That means they would be very durable, because if you rent something out, you want it to last for a long time, and you want the client to be happy, and you want to also be able to easily come and maintain and repair it, right? Instead of manufacturing products that are cheap and easily break down. And then you have also extending resource value, where basically a company they have some sort of waste in their production, but they can also reutilize it somehow. Or like industrial symbiosis, whatever waste that I am producing might be a value for you. So for instance, the briquettes, there is one company maybe getting some residue that Brian can use when he makes his briquettes. So that is a wonderful merge of businesses and seeing resources, right? Because what happens with the linear economy of electronics is that we see a lot of machinery just being, oh, it broke, and then it goes somewhere, because in many parts of the world, it's also very expensive to repair. And so instead of repairing, you just decide to buy something new, because strangely, new products are pretty cheap compared. So then we end up with a mountain of things that have been newly manufactured with all the energy and the transports and the storages, et cetera, and the materials they required. And then suddenly they just broke, and you leave it, and it's supposed to go to recycling instead of being checked and handled with care and then repaired and going back into the system. Here in Kenya, we definitely are very good at reusing. So that is great. The second, third, fourth, fifth hand market is available. But still we need to do it in a safe manner also, and we need to find standards to also when we repair things. So the future vision for electronics, this is since 2019, is, like I mentioned, looking at the design, looking at reintegrating some manufacturing scraps, and then extending the life as long as possible. Better and higher product collection with return, maybe some incentives, which is also possible when we, with digitalization, are getting more and more into traceability of materials, but also of items. So then you can also incentivize manufacturers and retailers. The whole value chain can have a totally different incentive. And then, of course, the advanced recycling and recapture. So basically, until 2030, we need to work with this designing for circularity, and all of that. And it sounds easy, but you need so many parts, right? We need the policies, we need manufacturers, we need the consumers to play in this field. Some of the challenges and opportunities that we have seen in our business is, first of all, I'm super happy that at least once a month I'm approached by companies that wants to try new business models, trying to, for instance, reuse and sell more components that are secondhand. And that is amazing because that's where we need to go, but it's a long way. But at least we can start and do pilots and learn along the way. Because like I said, if you buy a secondhand cable of some sort or a component, you also want to know, is this going to last? Can I trust it? Do I get a warranty or what happens? So that is what needs to be tested. And I'm going to give you 3 examples of 3 items that have been or are a bit problematic, but we're working on it. Like the CRT screens and the glass body inside of those big screens, right? Luckily, the UK innovative, the KTN, they had a challenge out, so we managed to be part of that and have now 3 different companies looking at different solutions that we might be able to develop and utilize here so that we can, in a better sense, take care of these CRT screens. We already have a cutter, so we cut the front glass, and the front glass doesn't contain so many hazardous substances. Apparently, according to the Glass Institute in Sweden, it is equivalent to a glass jar. But the funnel glass and also the neck, it contains lead. So, and there are different ways of extracting that lead oxide and be left with silicate oxide and lead. But then we also need to find a market for it. So it's a lot of development and research, which is very exciting. A battery is not just a battery. We have a lot of different battery types and sizes, because it's one thing that you have a battery that might be a lithium ion or lithium ion phosphate, and then they have different sizes. So if you want to remanufacture something or reuse these things, you also need to have it made for that type of battery cell. So we have a wonderful partnership with Acceleron, Accel Africa, where they test a specific type of cell. Now they actually test 2 different sizes and have made specific, what do you call them? Like the battery foundation where you put all the different cells, and then it's a smart battery. So you can actually tell if one of the cells start misfunctioning, you can just switch that one, which is very circular and a super good solution all in all. So they are working on those issues. And of course, whatever is not recoverable of the batteries, we take for recycling. And then comes the next challenge that there are companies around the world who recycles different types of batteries, the ones that I've mentioned here. But we need much larger volumes of them, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to ship if you only have a few barrels or containers of it. You need to be able to like fill a 40-foot container with 1 or 2 or 3 types of batteries. And now comes the issue of security also, if you haven't stored them properly, and they might ignite. So then we go to plastics. Now I can't see the chat, so Liz, you will have to interrupt me if we have questions along the way. All right. So the plastics, when you have electronics, 20 to 25% of the e-waste is actually plastics. And it's a big variety of different polymers. For a layman like me, within the plastics, you know, you just say plastics, but we all know actually nowadays that it's so many different ones, right? And like I said, some of these plastics also contain flame retardants. So going forward, it's very important to sort out. And in Europe, it's easy for them to say, well, if it contains flame retardants, it should be incinerated in a safe incinerator. We don't have those in Africa. And it's also very wasteful to incinerate something if you don't retrieve the heat and the energy from it. So that's where we need to go back to the design and production, so that are we putting flame retardants in too many items, for instance? Is it unnecessary sometime? So that is what the industry is working on. Meanwhile, we are working with the plastic recyclers here in Kenya, and we have several that make different products and are looking at trying to refine and make them even more feasible. So for instance, different profiles and bricks where this ABS plastics can be very useful. So that is a great way of recycling the material. And like I said, there's a lot of need to develop solutions within different ways to get this circularity to work. General education, I don't see it in the curriculum the way I wish it was. To talk about circular principles, the resources, the value of materials, where it all comes from, and how to take care of it, and also sustainable design and consumption to teach people how to consume in a smart way, because it also becomes smart for yourself. You save money in the end, right? And you don't have to be angry when you buy a cheap, I don't know, here in Kenya you have fundis to do everything, but let's say you would buy yourself a drill to be able to do some work at home. And you buy the cheap one and you go home and it breaks the second time you use it, and you have to go back to the store and buy the more expensive one. Not only have you wasted all those materials and energy, etc., but you've also wasted your own peace of mind, because you're going to get very angry, right? Plus money. And then research and innovation, material recovery technology, and emission control with these technologies. The technical equipment development is needed here, and trainings. We see the legislative frameworks, policies, etc., and incentives for circularity needs to be focused on reuse targets instead of recycling targets from governmental entities, and also prevent the hazardous contents. The producer responsibility is about to become a legislation. We are all waiting for it. And when I say all, everyone within waste management and resource recovery, because it changes the game field quite a lot if we get producers who are obliged to take responsibility for both awareness creation and safe recycling and reuse of their products. And then market sensitization. Eco design and secondhand, etc. I feel compared to like at home, it's very popular to go to thrift stores and buy clothes, for instance, or household appliances and cutlery, etc. You can find all kinds of in different quality of thrift stores, which you do find here as well, but I haven't seen that it's that popular, but it's coming along, which I'm super happy. I know I've encountered some startups also having these new business models, and it would be great with some technical centers. I know there are renewable energy centers around in each county, and I know that NEMA has their green points, not in each county yet, but at least they have like 8 or 9 up and running. I think we could demonstrate more of these circular technologies in these centers so that people can go and actually see how it works and realize that they might even be able to start a business of their own. Yeah, so those are my thoughts there. And we figured there isn't enough focus on these questions, so we started something called the Circular Innovation Hub. We launched it in September last year. We've had 2 cohorts so far with startups within the waste management and energy efficiency field. So check it out if you want. We are having a new call out for applications for a new cohort again until 25th of June. So that might be something for some of you or anyone in your network. And also come and visit us if you're in Kenya. We're located in Lavington. We have a house there, the Circular Innovation Hub. You can find us on Google Maps. Great, so that is what we have done. And what can you do? These are some starts around the circularity. And if we go, whether we talk about electronics or we talk about anything else, start with asking yourself, do I actually need something new? And if I need something new, buy quality products or buy quality secondhand, right? I actually just last weekend I bought 2 running shoes. I went to Toy Market. I couldn't even tell that they've been used since before, so I don't know if they have, but I'm very happy. I got them for like $25 instead of going home and paying $135 for them. So that was great. Ask for rental models, just like we can rent bigger items, like this is a trailer or a mobile home, but we can also rent electronic products or borrow them from each other. There are some very popular websites at home where you can just register and you can borrow within your community, and you see what people, they are lending out or renting out tents, like camping equipment and all kinds of stuff, which is great. And then of course you repair when it breaks. And that is also something I know is being worked on, because the repair sector here is quite informal, and for someone who wants to find someone to repair quick and easily and also know that they are serious, you need to know someone who knows someone, right? So with the digitalization and web pages and apps, etc., I know there are several working on that kind of structure to make it easier to find good repair fundis. Yeah, and then end of life, when you think that this is not repairable or whatever, make sure you find a safe disposal solution, right? So that was what I wanted to share with you. And I think this is very powerful, that we shouldn't wait for change or for someone else or for some other time. I think we should do it now. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So thank you all for being with me today. And thank you for having me in this forum.
Thank you to you, Ms. Simone, for such an insightful presentation. I've literally run out of paper writing down notes and lots of insights from the presentation today. I love how you tied back to the poll when we started off, because you could see there was confusion on what exactly circular economy is, me included.
Yeah, so maybe now if you would ask the same question, I wonder what the result would be.
It would be interesting to see what response that would bring now, just from your presentation. Thank you so much for that. You have really enlightened us that waste management and the circular economy are not really synonymous. Waste management is part of the circular economy. It starts way before, right from the acquisition of materials. There are a couple of questions on the chat for you, but I wanted to ask that now that even just from this meeting today, you are already demystifying misconceptions around circular economy. You are a trainer and you have done seminars, webinars within the region and across. What are some of the misconceptions you found on the ground around e-waste that you've had to demystify?
Around e-waste? Well, first of all, a lot of people apparently they haven't really thought about it, but somehow they have thought about it, like a safe disposal. A lot of people, like I said, they store it in the drawers or in a corner. They might have like 3 printers on top of each other because they don't know where to take it. It feels like wrong to just put it out in the street. It might have a value. It could possibly be repaired, but I don't have time, or I'm not putting priority to go and have it repaired. So the misconception, first of all, is the lack of knowledge, or like not even, where am I going to take it? Can I take it somewhere? Does it have a value? Well, if you haven't sold it yet and you've had it there for 5 years, maybe it doesn't have such a high value per item. Maybe we need to have huge volumes to actually make it into a sustainable business model. And that's sort of where we are as a company. And if you would ask any company within waste management, any waste management, it's so popular to say waste is wealth, right? Which is true. Waste is resources, like I said. But given that you need to have all the licenses, you need to have, you know, all the knowledge, you need to have, et cetera, and build a business around it, to formalize and to make it safe and secure for everyone. And that is another misconception. Then it's like, oh, this one cost me $1,000 when I bought it. Now it should have that same value when it's broken. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. If you can refurbish, like this one, actually, I bought it refurbished in Sweden now over Christmas because my other one was snatched before I left Kenya for Sweden. So that was sort of, imagine the hassle when you have everything in your, but anyway, that's a different story. But unless it's functioning, when it is waste, when it's totally broken, the value of the materials, even though you have some gold in it, etc. And yes, if you collect 1,000 kilos of motherboards per day, you start getting a huge value, right? And if you have machinery, but you also need to transport it, you need to store it for a long time until you have the value. So those are some of the misconceptions also. It's like, okay, but it was valuable to me. Now okay, yeah, that's wonderful. But now it's waste. Maybe you should also release it so that we can reutilize the resources out in society. So those are some of the, maybe not misconceptions, but more like the attitudes and the thoughts around electronics that I encounter. But also we have I say we because I guess I'm pretty much the same. I'm very proud that I bought this secondhand though. And why I did was because it was so easy because of the web pages at home right now offering, and it was just like being on a new sales web page where you can see the specifications and everything, and it nice pictures and blah 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 blah. Otherwise I might have bought a new one just to be sure that at least it was going to function well. But anyway, our conception of wanting something new and the market telling us that we should have now model XYZ 2000 extra premium, and then in 6 months they come with something else, like now it's called something else and it has even toothbrushes do this, and you know, you can go to any kind of product category where we just want new. That is very unnecessary many times. We buy more capacity than we might need. So maybe it's just upgrading. And of course, this one is hard to upgrade. It's an iPhone, which is bad. I wish I had a Fairphone, that I had gotten that some years ago when I was waiting for a new Fairphone, but I needed a phone. And unfortunately, now I've gotten into the iPhone swamp. So it's hard to change. But several friends of mine, have you ever heard of Fairphones? If you haven't, look them up, because they are modular, so you can switch. They give you also instructions if you want to switch something yourself, like if you want to upgrade your camera lens or whatever. And they also have very, very high control of their the value chain all the way from mining as much as you can have, and then up to the production. So if everybody would buy those kind of products and care, they would also, I mean, you pay a little bit more price, but on the other hand, you get like a more versatile product to use. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that response to the misconceptions. And you talked about
It was
how-
long, but there are many.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it has really captured the question, and the answer was really, really valuable. You've talked about how it's the lack of knowledge, the lack of knowing what to do with the e-waste. And we had a poll around the responsibility. Is it the producers? Is it the consumers? Is it the policy makers? And I can understand how excited you are for the extended producer responsibility. And just to tie it to a question, there are questions on the chat, but before I get onto that, you've really encouraged us to recycle, repair, remanufacture. But what about the people, planet, and profit? I think how do you think that will tie up with upcoming policies such as the extended producer's responsibility, the initiatives to really encourage people to not always go for new things, look at what they have and see how they can extend the life? How do you think that will play out? What will be the balance with the profit and the profit-making companies?
I'm sorry, did I get it right now? One more time. The question.
Sorry. Yes. I was saying you've talked about that people on the ground are unaware and where to dispose of all these things. We've also talked about how we need to reuse, repair, really try to extend the life of what we have. So my comment was, where is the balance when we are talking about people, planet, profits? So what about the companies that are really trying to push for profits, really trying to push for all these new upgrades? I love how you put it, premium, pro. How do you have that balance between
mega
industrialization?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess as much as we might need new things, but we also see different companies within different industries, whether it's garments, electronics, you have the vehicles, etc. Those forerunners now that are seeing the new opportunities in these lease models, for instance, where you sort of lease out the phone maybe for 2 years or 1 year, or even shorter period of time, and smartwatches could be the same. You, instead of selling it, you lease it out, which makes the customer retention automatic, because they will come back to you and want to upgrade to something that you have in your store. That's usually what happens, right? So they are seeing the good parts of that. They also offer repairs of whatever you've bought, which creates an even more, loyal customer. So I think what happens with these companies that just want to sell and sort of sell en masse volumes will eventually die out, because I feel what I see also in social media, we want to have engagement from, like, why would I buy from you? What kind of value are you bringing, except for the thing I get, right? It could be a very nice salesperson. That is brilliant, but it could also, and now I see that turning, that you have a value, like I buy something from you and then I come back and I get more, or you keep contact with me because you want to maintain this for me at a reduced price, for instance, etc., etc. So I think thinking in these business models, that's what needs to be happening when it comes to the profit, which brings in the people, because you need to have, everything from happy salespeople to be proud and also offer these services to the people who are consuming. We care about our consumer and our client instead of just selling something and then walking away. We extend the warranty. If you sign up for our maintenance program, we extend the warranty for you. You create a relationship rather than just selling an item. So that is what I see. And then of course the environment comes with it. the planet when you start taking care of. And that's where we started with the circular economy of materials. But we can't forget any of these pillars. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight that even as businesses, they will benefit from a circular economy and being involved in these initiatives. So I'll now head down to the chat and allow me to combine some similar questions from the audience. So there's one who is, Charles Karaoke is curious about yes. So he's curious on whether you 100%, you recycle 100% of the e-waste you collect and whether there's a percentage that ends up in the landfills. There's also Alfred Law, who's curious about what products do you create from the recycled e-waste?
Yes. Thank you.
Those two questions.
So starting with the recyclability or reusability of the products that comes in, and which is timely because we have been working together with Footprints Africa since this start of this year, where we've shared everything that we had coming in to our facility last year, and then looking at how much of that was either resold in some way, either as an item component or a material. And then some of it, like I mentioned, we need to store for a longer time to be able to send because of the volume that you need to send. And we have a zero dumping policy. So whenever we have something we call a circular commitment letter, which all our partners will sign, where we tell them about our zero dumping policy, we tell them about our commitment to circularity, and we encourage them, or urge them rather, to, if they now, let's say, buy this and they only use 80% of this one and then there's some residue, then we want them to bring it to us so that we can take it for safe recycling, so it doesn't end up somewhere else. And they are very happy, have been very positive about this. And we also laminate an information leaflet or a flyer for them to be able to also show their customers and clients to raise awareness about the hazards of e-waste and the opportunities that we can actually, there is someone taking care of them, and then they can either leave it with that same person, or we also tell that we have collaboration with Carrefour, Safaricom, etc., so they can go and drop off with them, or with us, of course, also if they are close to our facilities. So my answer would be, theoretically, we have 100% recyclability. And the bulbs, the light bulbs and the tubes are recyclable. There are some facilities around the world doing that. Unfortunately, it's very costly because it's not something you gain money from yet. I'm seeing as soon as governments around the world are putting more taxes and bans on virgin material, of course, the whole recycling industry and the circular economy will benefit, because suddenly it's going to be more beneficial to even be in that space. But we haven't seen that yet happen. So that's why we are still fighting in a world where the linear systems are so very well oiled, literally oiled, and smooth and simple for people to shop in that system and to manufacture in that system and to get retailers, you have all that already up and running, while these new business models need to enter that linear system, but you have a totally different model. So when that starts coming along, I also see that any type of material will be more monetarily recyclable. Right now, PV panels are also a menace because they are merged with different materials and it's very costly to recycle. So we store them. So far, we don't have very many, but imagine the solar explosion that we have, which is great to get energy. And in 20, 25 years time, when those panels might be starting to deteriorate, by then we definitely need to have a solid solution. And also nowadays, if you have a hail storm or any other that just breaks these, of course, we need to take care of them. So we do, and we've defined some partners that we can send to. And then I'm looking for CSR projects where companies want to support. For instance, if we send, let's say, 1,000 kilos or 2,000 kilos of light bulbs to Dubai or any other of the certified facilities, maybe they can sponsor that and get a certificate showing that we've actually sent it, etc., etc. So that is the model that we're going for now for those kind of problematic fractions. And then what products do we create from the recycled waste? Well, we don't produce anything ourselves. We have some pre-processing, and then it's partners that buy our different, like the aluminum, the iron, the ferrous metals, and melt it down, and depending on what kind of products they do. Some of the plastics, I know I showed those profiles, but I also have one, they do in between tiles, or when you do a certain type of flooring, you need plastic, small, thin, I don't know what it's called, like something in between there. That is also a product being done. And now with the glass, we hope to be able to utilize the glass later on as high as possible. Of course, you can crush it and use it as a construction material, but I would rather we find other solutions for it. Yeah, so we ourselves don't do any particular product. You can, yeah.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive response to those questions. I see there are a few more questions on the chat. It seems like we needed to have the webinar 4 hours long. There's so much engagement and curiosity on the e-waste. So I don't know if you'll be able to join in on the chat to respond.
Now I see. Hi, Rosemary.
Okay, good. So I see.
Yes, very good. Rosemary is mentioning Kijani World, a group of very engaged youths, and they've engaged in different sectors where we have some of them have been working with us with electronic waste management. We're super proud and happy to have them with us, and they've also been featured. You can look it up on YouTube. Just recently, I think BBC had an interview with one of the youngest, or 2 of them. Yeah, how can we support more youths to become more active in circular economy? Well, first of all, we do the trainings, like I said, and awareness creation, and different youth groups contact us in different ways. And of course, it's a lot up to them, but also for us to enable them at least to get the knowledge and then be able to. Of course, any kind of engagement like this, it's preferable that we have someone who can fund maybe in the beginning, so that we can take time and really focus and get it well done, because anything that takes time costs money, right? But entering into the circular economy, I think also, like the way Kijani World, they have educated themselves. They've been, Googling and coming up with ideas, that is also what you want to see as a business owner. You need to see engagement, because we can't force people to do something they don't want. But if we give them knowledge, which I think should start in school also, at least that will enable them to start thinking creatively and come and ask for more details, etc., etc. So I think when we work together like that, and I know Rosemary has been a backbone in really pushing and helping these youths forward also, which is also needed. You need to have mentors and guardians who sort of take it up, which we are happy to be one part, and then in society. We are also now together with GIZ doing a program for skills development where we look at the TVETs and making a program for repair and reuse and taking care of electronic wastes in a safe manner. So hopefully that will end up in a certificate program or several different ones. So that is also something we do for long-term empowering of the youths.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Simone, for your insights. I see we have people who intend to reach out to you. We are currently time bound, so kindly just request that.
Yeah, and I see a question about security, and yes, we have we do yearly inspections also for health and safety, and we've had even Shell, their highest compliance officer, we've been trained by them, so we've been drilled truly in how to do this. But of course, there's always room for improvement, but we are aware and we're working on it. Yeah, thank you for the question.
Great. The future is indeed circular economy. Thank you so much, Ms. Simone, for joining us today and granting us such great insights from today. To the audience, a big thank you to you for joining in, for being really engaging. Shout out to people all the way from Ghana for joining in today. Shout out to Kenya, Uganda for joining in. Thank you to the speakers of today, Mr. Brian and Ms. Simone, for what has been a really insightful session. To anyone who would like to join in onto such kind of roundtables, we still have a couple of months to the World Energy Day conference celebration that will be in October. So feel free to reach out to us if you do have a topic or would like to contribute to these conversations. So that is a wrap for today. Normally at around this time, if you're willing, we put our videos on to have a quick online photo to show that we were here. So if you are comfortable, feel free to put on your video, and then I think we'll remove the spotlight and we'll take a few snapshots of today. It has been such a great session. A big thank you to everyone. Yes, I see a couple of people are putting on their videos on. I'll just change the view to gallery. Yes, so if you're comfortable, feel free to put your video, and it is lights up. You know, I've been speaking to black boxes. Y'all were just up there willing to put your videos on. So thank you for all who are willing to put your videos on. Thank you so much. We have a couple of pages, so we're going to take photos with the first, what is it called, like the first page, and then we move on to the next. I see the first page is filling up with smiles. It is smiles. It is okay. Let us take this first photo. I think we can shout circular economy. So taking that first slide. It's all smiles for the first page. Thank you.
That's very nice.
We do have the second page now. If you're willing to have your video on, I'm just going to grab a quick snapshot, like a virtual memory that we were all here for the fourth online energy professionals roundtable. Such a great session, and we believe that it was valuable to you as well as it was to me. Yes, there we have it. Thank you so much for everyone who's been able to be in that photo, for everyone who has been attending. Look out for our next webinar. We have this monthly. It may be a Facebook Live. We look out for when we announce Youth Innovation Challenge, when we announce the awards. Lots of activities coming up, all running up to the 19th, 20th, and 21st of October. We'll be at Mombasa, Kenya to celebrate the World Energy Day celebrations, and it will be a conference. Looking forward to seeing you all of you there, and also to the rest of the activities that we'll be putting out. So asante sana. I think now you are free to leave at your own pleasure. It is exactly 10:59 Kenyan time.